Do you think you know English? Think again. Textbooks and classrooms rarely teach the words natives actually use, words you'll hear in movies, music, and everyday conversations. Today, we're breaking down 10 essential slang terms that will make your English sound natural, fluent, and modern. Stick around because by the end of this video, you'll be speaking like a true native. Welcome to Fluentify English Podcast, where we go beyond textbooks and teach you the real English people speak every day. If you've ever felt like your English sounds too formal, or if you've been confused by slang in movies and songs, this video is for you. Slang is more than just informal words. It's a way to connect with native speakers, understand pop culture, and sound more natural in conversations. Today, we'll cover 10 must-know slang terms with clear explanations, real-life examples, and even some quizzes to test your knowledge. So yes, over to our Fluentify experts now.
Welcome back to The Deep Dive, the show where we take that stack of sources you send us, could be articles, research, maybe even your own notes, and we pull out the absolute best bits, those nuggets of knowledge. Our whole mission here is to help you cut through all the noise, get straight to those aha moments.
Right.
So you can feel genuinely well-informed without getting totally bogged down by too much information. We know you're curious, and hey, we're here to help with that.
Definitely.
Today we're diving into something that's always changing, super dynamic, and honestly absolutely essential if you want to really get a handle on modern English.
Yeah.
We're talking about slang.
Oh, okay. Good one.
It's the real language, right? The pulse of daily conversation. And it's often the part of English that, well, formal lessons just don't seem to cover.
Not all.
Okay, let's unpack this. Let's get right into the authentic language people are actually speaking, like every single day.
Exactly. Today, we're doing a deep dive into some really fascinating material. It's all focused on modern English slang. We've got a whole load of insights here, including quite a bit from the Fluentify English podcast, actually, and some other great resources, too.
Oh, interesting. Fluentify, yeah, I've heard of them.
Yeah, they do good stuff. And our mission with this particular deep dive, it's really to bridge that gap, that gap that can be so frustrating between the formal textbook English you might learn in school.
Right, the proper English.
And the incredibly rich, nuanced, and, let's be honest, sometimes pretty confusing everyday language that native speakers actually use.
Totally.
And hey, speaking of Fluentify, if you find this deep dive helpful, if these insights resonate with you, you'll definitely want to check out their channel.
Good tip.
Yeah, the Fluentify English podcast. They've got loads more real-world English lessons. It might be worth considering subscribing, honestly. They provide excellent content that really does go beyond the textbook. But what's fascinating here is understanding slang isn't just about, learning a few informal words to sprinkle in.
No, it's more than that.
It's truly crucial because it's about connecting with the culture. It's about feeling natural when you talk to people.
Yeah.
And really understanding those subtle bits of communication, the nuances that often just get lost if you stick only to formal language. Slang is really where the living language thrives. It reflects immediate feelings, current trends, even group identity.
That's such a critical point, and I think, honestly, many of us, myself included, have probably felt that.
Oh, for sure.
You start your language journey, right? You think, okay, if I just memorize enough vocab, enough grammar rules from the textbook, I'll get fluent. But then you watch a movie or listen to some popular music, or you just step into a real casual conversation.
Yeah.
And you suddenly realize those textbooks, they rarely teach the words natives actually use day to day.
Exactly. It's a different world.
It feels like you're speaking this perfectly correct, grammatically sound, but maybe slightly stiff, maybe even outdated version of English.
A bit robotic sometimes, yeah.
People understand you, sure, but you don't necessarily sound like you belong,
Right. You stand out a bit.
And that feeling of confusion when you hear slang in pop culture or just chatting with someone casually, it can be really disheartening.
It can knock your confidence.
Yeah. You think, I thought I had a good grasp on English, and then bam, you're lost in translation, even though technically every word is English.
Happens all the time.
So this deep dive today, it's specifically designed to fix that, to equip you with the language that really clicks with how people communicate right now. Helping you not just understand, but really feel the language more.
Precisely. Slang is just so much more than a list of informal words. It's like a vital way to connect, to immerse yourself in the culture.
Right.
When you get a handle on slang, you really gain the ability to genuinely connect with native speakers. It feels deeper, more authentic.
That makes sense.
And it's absolutely essential for understanding pop culture references.
Yeah.
They're everywhere, right? From viral memes to blockbuster movies, streaming shows, even stand-up comedy.
Oh, yeah. You miss a lot if you don't get the slang.
You really do.
Yeah.
And maybe most importantly, it lets you sound natural, more fluid in conversations, almost like you're a local.
That's the goal for many learners, isn't it?
It is. And look, this isn't about throwing out formal English. Not at all. It's about adding another really indispensable layer, authenticity, nuance. It's another tool in your linguistic toolkit.
A crucial tool.
Definitely. And if we connect this to the bigger picture, you see that language is never static, right? It's alive.
Constantly changing.
It's this vibrant, always evolving part of culture itself. It's constantly adapting, reflecting social trends, shifts in technology, how we communicate.
All of it.
And slang is often right there at the leading edge of that evolution. It's like a real-time mirror of what's happening in society. It gives you insight into the collective mood, the shared experiences of a community. It allows for brevity, for emotional shortcuts.
Yeah, getting straight to the point.
And for establishing group identity. It creates this subtle but really powerful sense of belonging among people who share and understand these informal codes.
It really gives you a key to fitting in, doesn't it?
It absolutely does.
Okay, with that in mind, let's dive into some specific terms. These are pretty foundational, I think, for navigating modern English conversations.
Let's do it.
We're going to kick things off with a set of, let's call them must-know slang words. These are just incredibly common in daily use.
The ones you hear constantly.
Exactly. These are the words you probably won't learn in school, but native speakers, they use them all the time, often without even thinking about how informal they are.
Second nature.
Right. So our first term on the list is lit, L-I-T. Now, most people know lit as, the past tense of to light, like I lit a candle.
Sure, the standard meaning.
But in modern slang, it's got this completely different vibe, almost like it has its own glow.
That's spot on. Yeah. When something is described as lit, as an adjective, it just means it's amazing, incredibly exciting, or just plain fun and impressive.
Okay. So positive energy.
Totally. You'll hear it applied to all sorts of situations that are high energy or just have a fantastic atmosphere.
Like parties.
Definitely parties.
Yeah.
Or concerts. Like someone might say, that concert last night was so lit.
Right.
Or the party was absolutely lit. Everyone was dancing. It doesn't just mean good. It specifically captures this kind of energetic enthusiasm.
Okay.
Often associated with a vibrant, lively atmosphere. It could be a social gathering, a performance, even a really exciting game.
Gotcha.
What's linguistically fascinating here is how lit kind of evolved. It used to sometimes be associated with being drunk or high, getting lit.
Ah, right.
But it shifted to this more general expression of intense, positive excitement. Almost like the energy somewhere is so high, it's, on fire.
Interesting evolution.
Yeah, it shows how language can adapt, even sort of clean up its meaning over time.
I know.
It becomes this powerful, concise stand-in for lots of adjectives like awesome, cool, exciting.
Yeah, packs a punch.
It really does. It's a versatile term that just instantly conveys high energy and enjoyment.
I love how one word can completely change meaning depending on the context, often just through these subtle social shifts.
It's fascinating.
Okay, next up we have salty, S-A-L-T-Y. When I hear salty, I can't help but picture someone literally tasting something bitter. Is that kind of where the slang meaning connects?
That's a great intuitive leap.
Yeah.
And yeah, you're very close to the mark. Salty as an adjective is used to describe someone who is bitter, annoyed, maybe a bit resentful.
Oh, yeah.
Often it's over something relatively small or petty.
Ah, the petty annoyance.
Exactly. It's that feeling you get when you're irritated, maybe a little resentful, and it just kind of festers, leaves a bad taste in your mouth, you could say.
Right.
The classic example is, he's so salty because I won the game, he wouldn't even shake my hand.
Oh, yeah. Poor loser salty.
Totally. Or you might hear someone complain, don't be so salty just because I got the last slice of pizza.
Happens.
This term is especially common in, gaming communities and sports contexts.
Oh, definitely.
Where someone might react really poorly to losing, showing that specific mix of frustration, bad sportsmanship, and petty resentment.
Yeah.
It perfectly captures that slightly sour mood, a minor but persistent irritation that makes someone visibly grumpy or standoffish.
And it implies their reaction is a bit much for the situation.
Exactly. It highlights a certain pettiness, that the reaction is kind of disproportionate to whatever happened.
Oh, I've definitely been salty a few times after a competitive board game night with friends.
Haven't we all?
Speaking of communication struggles, sometimes people don't even say goodbye, they just vanish. There's a particular modern term for that, isn't there?
Oh, yes.
It's called ghosted. Ghosted, used as a verb.
Yes, that's an unfortunately common one. And very telling about modern communication, I think. Well, to be ghosted means someone has suddenly and completely stopped responding to your messages, your calls, any communication attempts.
Right, gone silent.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Especially with no explanation, no warning.
Yeah.
It's like they've just vanished into thin air, like a ghost.
Leaving you wondering what happened.
Totally bewildered, and often quite hurt. For example, we were texting every day, making plans, then she just ghosted me, totally went silent.
That's rough.
Or it happens professionally, too. I applied for that job, had a great interview, but then the company ghosted me. I never heard back.
Ouch.
What's particularly interesting, and maybe a bit disheartening, is how common this is in digital communication, especially online dating.
Yes, the dating apps.
Studies have actually shown that ghosting is, remarkably common in digital interactions. It's seen as a way for people to avoid direct confrontation or uncomfortable conversations.
Just disappear instead.
Yeah. It really highlights the social side effects, the emotional impact of this communication style. It shows how easy it is to disengage in our hyper-connected world.
A simple block or mute.
And the connection is just severed. Abruptly.
Yeah.
It's a very unilateral thing, leaving the ghosted person just hanging, full of uncertainty.
That's a phenomenon I think many people can relate to, unfortunately.
Sadly, yes.
Okay, from avoiding confrontation, let's go to the opposite almost. Flex. F-L-E-X. Can be a verb or a noun. It makes me think of showing off muscles, which maybe isn't too far off.
That's a really good analogy for its core meaning, actually. To flex means to show off, or it can refer to the act of showing off itself. It applies a deliberate display, previous success, wealth, skills, possessions.
Show what you've got.
Exactly. And often there's this underlying competitive edge, or at least a desire to impress people.
Like on social media?
Very common on social media. Think of someone posting a picture of their new designer outfit, or their luxury car.
Or amazing vacation photos.
Or even exceptional academic results. They're flexing. It's an outward demonstration of achievement or status, often meant to impress, maybe even intimidate others a bit. This term really highlights a modern trend, I think, where personal achievement and possessions get validated through public display.
Likes and comments equal validation.
Something like that. It seems less about internal satisfaction sometimes and more about that external validation. It shows a contemporary competitive spirit, this kind of aspirational culture.
Projecting an image.
Right, projecting an image of success, sometimes subtly, sometimes really overtly, trying to get admiration or maybe even make others envious.
So you might say he's always flexing his expensive watch on Instagram.
Perfect example. Or she doesn't just do well, she likes to flex her intellectual prowess in every debate.
Got it. Showing off, basically.
In a nutshell, yes.
Okay, and from showing off, we move to stan, S-T-A-N, also a verb or noun. This one has a really interesting backstory, right? Tied directly to pop culture.
It does. Stan has a clear and pretty fascinating origin. A stan is an obsessive fan. And to stan someone or something means to be an obsessive fan, often to an extreme degree.
Okay, like a super fan.
Like a super fan, but maybe even more intense. The term famously comes from Eminem's song from 2000 called Stan.
Ah, I remember that song. It was quite dark.
Very dark. It tells the story of this overly obsessive fan named Stan who gets dangerous when his idol doesn't reply to his letters.
Right.
But while the song depicted a really unhealthy level of obsession, the term has kind of evolved.
How so?
Now, it generally describes an extreme, but usually harmless, level of dedication and admiration within various fandoms.
So less creepy, more passionate.
Exactly. You can stan a celebrity, a band, a fictional character, a sports team, even a particular brand or product sometimes.
Okay.
For example, I totally stan that new K-pop group. Their music is incredible. Or she stans Beyoncé. She's been to every one of her concerts.
Wow, that's dedication.
It signifies this almost unparalleled level of devotion. Often involves deep knowledge of the subject, active participation in fan communities, maybe passionately defending their idol online. It's a powerful word to describe the intensity of modern fan culture. Sometimes it borders on what psychologists call a parasocial relationship.
Where you feel like you know the celebrity.
Kind of, yeah.
Yeah.
But usually, when people use stan now, it's more lighthearted and appreciative than the way the original song meant it.
That's a great example of how pop culture can directly shake language, creating a term that just perfectly captures something happening now.
Absolutely. Language borrows and adapts constantly.
Okay, next up, a phrase that's all about subtle communication, a particular kind of verbal sparring, maybe. Throw shade.
Ah, yes, throwing shade. This means to insult someone subtly, often indirectly, or maybe through a backhanded compliment.
Sneaky.
It's truly an art form, in a way. It's about conveying disapproval or critique without being overtly aggressive or directly confrontational.
How does that work?
It relies heavily on nuance. Tone of voice is key. Body language helps. And often, there's a shared understanding of unspoken cues between the people involved.
Can you give an example?
Sure, someone might say, oh, that outfit is interesting, but with a particular sarcastic tone or maybe a raised eyebrow. That's effectively throwing shade.
Okay, the subtext is negative.
Exactly. It's commonly used in casual banter, in celebrity gossip columns, things like that. Situations where direct confrontation might seem rude or just unnecessary. Another example could be, she said my presentation was brave for its unconventional approach.
Ooh, sounds like a compliment, but maybe isn't.
Right. It might subtly imply it was strange or misguided. It's about delivering a little jab that might not even be immediately recognized as an insult.
Very clever, and maybe a bit passive-aggressive.
It can be, definitely. It's a way to express a negative opinion or disapproval without fully owning it directly. It takes a certain amount of social intelligence to both deliver shade well and to pick up on it when it's thrown at you.
Very clever indeed. Okay, our next one is surprisingly simple but seems effective. Gucci, G-U-C-C-I, used as an adjective, obviously a famous luxury brand. How did that become slang for being good or cool?
That's a fascinating example of something called metonymy in action.
Meto what?
Metonymy. It's where something associated with a concept comes to stand for the concept itself. Here, a brand known for luxury and high quality transcends its original meaning and just enters everyday language. So when something is described as Gucci in slang, it simply means it's good, cool, fine, or that everything's all right.
Really? Just good?
Yeah, basically.
Yeah.
The association with the high-end luxury brand implies quality, perfection, status, just general well-being.
Huh. So how would you use it?
Well, if someone asks, are you good? You might reply, yeah, I'm Gucci, meaning I'm doing well, or everything is great, or it's all handled.
Good.
Or if a plan works out perfectly, you could say, the whole arrangement is totally Gucci.
Interesting.
It really speaks to how consumer culture shapes our vocabulary, doesn't it? Turning these objects of desire into ways to affirm well-being.
Yeah, it's like a shortcut to say things aren't just okay, but exceptionally okay.
Precisely. Implying a level of effortless perfection. It's a statement of confidence and comfort, really.
That's a smooth way to say things are going well. And yeah, a great insight into how brands just seep into our language.
They really do.
Speaking of status, our next term is all about influence, especially online. Clout. C-L-O-U-T as a noun.
Clout.
Yeah.
Yes, this refers to social influence, power, or fame, particularly in the context of social media and online presence.
So like being popular online.
Essentially, yes. In our super digital age, clout has become this highly sought after thing, almost a form of social currency.
Right.
It signifies a person's ability to affect opinions, trends, maybe actions, just because of their popularity, their large following, or their perceived status online.
So you might hear someone say.
You might hear he's just doing it for the clout, meaning he's doing something purely to gain attention or influence.
Okay.
Or her new video really brought her a lot of clout in the beauty community, meaning it increased her influence there. This modern obsession with clout, it's deeply connected to influencer culture, right? The creator economy, digital presence.
Where followers equal influence.
Often, yeah. Where the number of followers, likes, engagements can translate into real-world impact, recognition, sometimes even financial gain. It reflects the value society now seems to place on online visibility and the power that comes from public attention.
So clout kind of sums up that drive for digital fame.
Exactly. It encapsulates that aspirational nature of digital fame, and sometimes the lengths people go to achieve it. It often highlights the performative side of online identity, too.
It certainly feels like a driving force in many online interactions, pushing people to create content, maybe sometimes regardless of its quality.
That's for the potential clout, yeah.
Okay, moving on to a very direct term. We have cap, C-A-P. Can be a noun or a verb.
Cap. Yes, this is a very straightforward slang term for a lie or simply to lie.
It just means lie.
Pretty much. It's concise, it's widely understood, especially among younger generations. It's a direct way to call out something you think is false.
How's it used?
If someone says, that's cap, they mean that's a lie, or that's unbelievable, I don't believe you.
Okay.
If they say don't cap, they mean don't lie, or tell me the truth.
Give me an example.
Sure. You said you ran a marathon. That's cap. I saw you on the couch all day.
Busted.
Exactly. This term is part of this simplified, almost declarative style of language that prioritizes immediate communication, a certain bluntness maybe.
Cuts to the chase.
Right. It's often used in casual settings just to dismiss something as untrue without needing a long explanation.
And it suggests a desire for honesty.
I think so. It highlights a desire for authenticity in conversation. And its brevity just makes it impactful. We'll actually see its counterpart later on.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, a phrase that emphasizes sincerity. The opposite of cap. It's a direct affirmation of truth.
Interesting. Okay, I can definitely see how cap simplifies things, cuts straight to the chase.
And finally, for this first set, we have extra, E-X-T-R-A, as an adjective. This one sounds quite expressive.
It is. When someone or something is described as extra, it means they are over the top, dramatic, or just unnecessarily exaggerated in their behavior or reaction.
Doing too much.
Exactly. Doing too much. It implies a disproportionate level of effort or display for whatever the situation is.
Okay.
It's often used playfully, though, to describe someone who is being excessively flamboyant, maybe attention-seeking, or just dramatic in a way that goes beyond what's normal or expected. Like, she bought 5 different outfits for one party, she's so extra. Or he made a huge scene about a small spilled drink, he was being so extra.
Right, overreacting.
Being extra isn't just being dramatic, though. It often carries this subtle comedic undertone. It suggests someone is kind of performing for an audience, even if there isn't one.
Theatrical. A bit, yeah. It's usually used about someone, highlighting their theatricality rather than describing yourself.
Yeah.
Unless maybe you're being self-aware and humorous about it.
Got it.
It perfectly captures that slightly theatrical, attention-grabbing quality. It makes it a very specific way to describe a certain type of personality or behavior.
Okay, wow. Here's where it gets really interesting, right? When you start hearing these terms out in the real world, you suddenly realize how much more vibrant, how much more nuanced everyday English actually is compared to what you might find in a textbook.
It's like night and day sometimes.
It really feels like unlocking a secret code, or maybe gaining access to an inner circle of communication.
It does give you that feeling.
So thinking about these first 10 terms we covered, lit, salty, ghosted, flex, stan, throw shade, Gucci, clout, cap, and extra, which ones have you, the listener, heard before, maybe without fully getting them? And which ones could you maybe start trying to incorporate into your own vocabulary, right away to sound more natural and engaged in contemporary English conversations?
It really is about activating that understanding of living language.
Yeah.
Recognizing these words aren't just trendy, they offer a kind of shorthand for complex social stuff, emotional realities.
Absolutely. The language is a living thing, always shifting. Now let's transition. Let's look at a second set of trendy slang words.
Okay.
Noting, again, how language just continues to evolve at this incredibly rapid pace.
Faster than ever, it seems.
It really does. Some of these terms might have started or maybe be particularly common in specific communities or regions.
Yeah, sometimes they bundle up from niche groups.
But they definitely have broader appeal now. They're making their way into general conversation across English-speaking places, often spread super fast through online platforms.
Social media is a huge driver.
Totally. Okay, our first one in this new batch is delulu. D-E-L-U-L-U, an adjective.
Delulu. Yeah, this is a playful, informal, and kind of deliberately cutesy shortening of the word delusional.
Okay, so it means delusional.
Essentially, yes.
Yeah.
But with a specific flavor. It's used to describe someone who has unrealistic beliefs or expectations, often to a comical or maybe slightly pathetic degree.
In what context, usually?
Typically in the context of relationships, maybe aspirations, or just general self-perception.
Can you give an example?
Sure. She's so delulu if she thinks he'll call her back after that disastrous first date.
Oh, ouch.
Or he's delulu for thinking he'll get a promotion without putting in any effort.
Right. Totally unrealistic.
Exactly. It's really common in online social commentary. You see it a lot on platforms like TikTok, Twitter, to describe someone's improbable or just completely unfounded hopes or assumptions, often in a slightly mocking way, and usually pretty lighthearted.
So it's softer than calling someone delusional?
Yeah, it carries a lighter, more sarcastic, definitely a less clinically severe tone that makes it suitable for just casual conversation, online banter. It points to a situation where someone is clearly out of touch with reality, but maybe in a way that's more amusing than actually concerning.
That's a great example of how shortening words can create new meaning, new tone, adding that little layer of subtle judgment.
Language is efficient like that.
Okay, next, a truly fascinating new concept. It really illustrates our modern obsession, maybe, with categorizing behavior. Beige flag. Beigeflag. As a noun.
Ah, the beige flag.
Yeah.
Yes, this term refers to something that catches your attention briefly about a person or a situation.
Okay.
But it's neither inherently good nor bad. It's more just slightly unusual, maybe quirky, or just plain odd.
So not red, not green, but beige.
Exactly. It's emerged as this nuanced middle ground compared to the more familiar red flag.
Which is a warning sign.
Right. It's a serious problem. And the green flag.
Which is a positive sign.
Which indicates a positive trait, a good sign.
Yeah.
So a beige flag, it just makes you pause for a second, makes you think, that's a bit peculiar, or that's interesting.
Can you give an example of a beige flag?
Sure, maybe. The email he sent had a few typos, and he used 3 different fonts, which is a bit of a beige flag for me. Not terrible, but
weird.
Right, makes you notice. Or she always organizes her books by color, not author, which is a total beige flag. Again, not bad, just a quirk. It reflects this modern desire, I think, for more detailed social categorization, moving beyond just simple good-bad labels.
More nuance.
Yeah. It gives us a way to describe those minor quirks or eccentricities that aren't deal breakers, but they're definitely noticeable. Maybe slightly endearing, maybe just eyebrow-raising.
It's about recognizing those little idiosyncrasies that make someone unique.
Exactly. Those little things that make you go,
I love how language develops new terms just to describe these very specific human observations and behaviors.
It's constantly adapting to how we perceive the world.
Okay, from subtle observations, let's move to subtle expressions, particularly body language. Side-eye. S-I-D-E-E-Y-E.
As a noun.
Side-eye. Yes, this describes giving someone that sidelong glance. You know the one?
Oh, it's typically used to express skepticism, maybe disapproval, mild judgment, sometimes even playful disdain. And all without saying a single word.
It's all in the look.
Totally.
Yeah.
It's a really powerful nonverbal cue that's been translated directly into language. So now we can actually refer to that specific look.
You give side-eye.
Yeah, you give someone side-eye, or you might catch someone giving you side-eye. It means there's this unspoken message being sent, often one of doubt, disagreement, or just quiet disapproval.
Like?
For example, I caught her giving me serious side-eye when I walked into the meeting late.
Uh-oh.
Or, when he suggested ordering anchovy pizza, everyone at the table gave him side-eye.
Haha. Deservedly, maybe.
Maybe. It just perfectly captures that moment of nonverbal judgment. It's an eloquent way to show skepticism or subtle criticism without words.
Quick and efficient.
Very. Often quite humorous, too. Communicates a whole feeling with just a glance.
A look that speaks volumes, indeed. Okay, our next phrase captures a sense of giving someone space to excel or maybe handle something on their own. Let him cook. L-E-T-H-I-M-C-O-O-K.
Let him cook.
Yeah, this phrase means basically allow someone to do their own thing. Let them express themselves freely or maybe work through a process without interruption.
Especially if they're doing well.
Exactly, especially when they're performing well or seem to really need that space. The metaphor of cooking here implies this creative process or productive process, maybe even an emotional one, where the person needs space, autonomy, to develop their ideas or actions without interference.
So it implies trust.
Yeah, it suggests trust in their ability and a recognition that interrupting them would actually hinder their progress.
How would you use it in a sentence?
Well, if someone is intensely focused on a task, doing a really great job, or maybe deeply thinking through a problem, you might say to someone else, he's really in the zone with that project, just let him cook for a bit before asking him questions.
Okay, give us space. Or, if a friend is passionately explaining a really complex idea, you might encourage others listening to, just let him cook, he's got a great point. Let him finish his thought.
Right.
It's an expression of respect, really. Respect for someone's process, their autonomy, their unique way of doing things, implying their best work or best idea will come out if they're just given the freedom to operate.
That's a great metaphor for empowering someone.
It is, yeah. Back off and let them shine.
Speaking of things that are great, we have bussin'. B-U-S-S-I, an adjective. This one just sounds like it means something good.
You're right. It really does. It sounds as good as it means.
Yeah.
Bussin' is a highly enthusiastic, very informal term.
Yeah.
Used to describe something that is extremely good, delicious, or enjoyable.
Yeah.
Exceptional level.
Extremely good.
Yeah. While you could apply it to various things, it's particularly common and often used when talking about food that is just exceptionally tasty or satisfying.
Ah, so for delicious food.
Very often. When someone says, this new restaurant is bussin', the food is amazing, they're conveying this really visceral sense of pleasure and satisfaction.
Oh, okay.
Almost like the food is so good it's making their taste buds explode or something.
Uh-huh.
But you might also hear it applied to other things, like music, or an outfit, or an experience. That concert was bussin'.
Right.
It's a very high compliment. Denotes something truly exceptional and delightful. Often implies this kind of raw, unfiltered appreciation.
Very informal.
Very informal, yeah. Typically used in really casual, enthusiastic conversation, it just conveys an immediate, strong, positive reaction. Goes way beyond just good or nice.
That's a term that truly conveys excitement. A strong, positive reaction.
It really captures that peak enjoyment.
Okay, next. A phrase that describes when someone or something just can't get out of your head. Went free. R-E-N-T-F-R-E-E. Used as an adjective or phrase.
Rent-free. Yes, this is such a vivid and memorable term. It describes something or someone occupying your thoughts excessively, persistently, and often without any good reason or benefit to you.
Like they're living in your head without paying rent.
Exactly. That's the imagery. It implies that these thoughts or people or concerns are taking up valuable mental space, emotional energy,
Right.
without contributing positively. They're squatting in your brain.
Uh-huh. How would you use it?
You might say to a friend, why is she living in your head rent-free? Just ignore her comments.
Okay, stop obsessing.
Or you might say about yourself, that old argument from last week is still living rent-free in my mind. You just can't shake it.
Got it.
This expression really highlights how certain thoughts, people, concerns can just dominate your mind unnecessarily, often to your detriment, and you can't seem to get rid of them.
An unwelcome guest in your thoughts.
Exactly. An unwelcome, persistent intrusion that demands mental bandwidth for free. It highlights the burden of obsessive thinking, maybe lingering resentment. It's a way to point out that someone's giving way too much attention to something that doesn't deserve it.
That's a perfect way to describe an obsessive thought. Paints a very clear picture.
It's very evocative.
Now for something a bit more endearing. Pookie. P-O-O-K-I-E as a noun. This one sounds quite sweet.
Pookie. Yes, it is indeed an affectionate term. It's a cutesy nickname used for a close friend, maybe a romantic partner, or just a loved one.
A term of endearment.
Exactly. It signals intimacy, warmth, a casual, familiar connection, often has a slightly playful or even childlike feel to it.
So like honey or sweetheart.
Similar to calling someone honey, sweetheart, babe, or boo, yeah. But Pookie has its own distinct charm, I think. Often implies this special, maybe somewhat private bond between people.
Right.
You might hear someone say, hey, Pookie, how's it going? When greeting a close friend, or a couple might use it between themselves. It really highlights the role these endearing nicknames play in fostering a sense of closeness and familiarity in relationships. They create this linguistic shortcut for affection and comfort.
A soft spot.
Yeah, it signifies a soft spot, a tender feeling, a bond that goes beyond just being acquaintances.
A sweet one for sure. Indicates that level of comfort and affection.
Definitely.
Okay, our next term, coquette. C-O-Q-U-E-T-E, as a noun. This one feels like it has a bit of a classic, almost historical vibe to it, yet it seems to have found new life.
That's right. Coquette refers to a flirtatious or charming woman who uses her allure to playfully attract attention, often without serious romantic intent.
Playfully flirtatious.
Exactly. It's a term with definite historical roots, often associated with this lighthearted, alluring kind of demeanor. But you're right, it has found new life in modern slang.
How so?
Sometimes it's even tied to specific aesthetic trends you see on social media. Trends that embrace a romantic, feminine, and subtly provocative style.
Ah, like a fashion or style term too.
It can be used that way. For example, someone might say, she's always surrounded by admirers. Such a coquette, she knows exactly how to charm everyone. That's the classic meaning.
Right.
But you might also hear, in a more descriptive sense, her new fashion style is very coquette. Lots of lace and ribbons, linking it to the aesthetic.
Okay.
So it describes someone who maybe revels in the art of flirtation, enjoys the attention, the dance of attraction. But it can also sometimes imply a degree of maybe manipulative playfulness or an avoidance of deeper emotional commitment.
Depends on the context.
Very much.
Yeah.
The modern revival often gives it a softer, more aesthetic feel, celebrating a particular style of femininity. But that core meaning of playful flirtation is still there.
That's a really interesting revival of an older term, linking it to contemporary style and social media.
Language cycles through things like that sometimes.
Okay, now let's revisit something we touched on earlier. We talked about cap, meaning a lie.
Right.
Well, its opposite is also incredibly popular and often used to really affirm sincerity. No cap. N-O-C-A-P as a phrase.
Yes, exactly. No cap is slang for no lie or truth. It's used specifically to emphasize sincerity and truthfulness in a statement.
So I'm being serious.
Pretty much. If someone says, that movie was incredible, no cap, they're unequivocally stating, I am telling the truth. There's no exaggeration, no falsehood here.
It adds emphasis.
Absolutely. It's a powerful indicator of authenticity, a declaration that what's being said can be taken at face value.
Give me another example.
I really studied for that exam, no cap. I didn't sleep all night.
Okay, like seriously.
Or that was the best burger I've ever had, no cap. It just adds that layer of, I truly mean this.
Right.
And this raises an important question, doesn't it? About how slang terms often have these direct opposites that also become incredibly popular.
Like cap and no cap.
Exactly. It seems to reinforce a directness, maybe a quest for transparency and communication, especially among younger generations who seem to value authenticity very highly. The very existence of no cap points to this desire for assurance, for sincerity in just casual conversation, maybe contrasting with a perceived amount of exaggeration or BS in general discourse.
It's a concise and emphatic way to say, believe me.
Exactly. I'm being real here.
It's all about reinforcing credibility, making sure your listener knows you're being genuine.
Precisely.
And finally, for this set, a very concise but really widely used term that implies suspicion. Sus, S-U-S, as an adjective.
A sus. Yeah, this is just a shortened colloquial form of suspicious or maybe untrustworthy.
Just short for suspicious.
Basically. Its brevity and how easy it is to use have made it incredibly versatile and widespread. You hear it everywhere.
Where did it come from?
It got hugely popularized by online gaming, especially the game Among Us.
Ah, right. Finding the imposter.
Exactly. So if something or someone seems sus, it means they appear questionable, dubious, not entirely honest, or just that something feels off. For example, her story sounds sus. I don't think she's telling the truth. Or maybe that noise coming from the basement sounds a little sus.
Gives you a bad feeling.
Yeah. It's a quick, efficient way to convey doubt, a sense of unease, or just a feeling that something isn't quite right without necessarily needing to explain why it feels suspicious.
Like a gut feeling.
Often, yeah. It's used when someone's behavior or a situation just raises a little red flag that maybe you can't fully articulate yet.
Got it.
And, the widespread adoption and rapid spread of sus across different age groups, different digital spaces, it really raises an important question.
Which is?
How do these terms blow up so fast? What makes some slang terms like sus really stick, become part of the mainstream, while others just kind of fade away quickly?
Good question.
The answer, I think, often lies in the immense power of social media and pop culture. They act like super spreaders for new language trends.
Accelerating everything.
Totally. Allowing words to become ubiquitous almost overnight.
Wow. This has been such a comprehensive dive into this, exciting, always evolving world of modern English slang.
It really is fascinating.
And it's clear it's not just about knowing a list of words, is it? It's about truly understanding the pulse of the language, the cultural currents underneath that shape how people connect. And the nuanced ways emotions and ideas get conveyed every day.
Absolutely.
Mastering these words and phrases, it'll undoubtedly boost your English fluency. It'll make your interactions feel more natural, more authentic.
Yeah, less like you're reading from a script.
Exactly. And truly enrich your understanding of contemporary culture. Our goal with these deep dives is always to deliver those aha moments.
Right.
And make sure you walk away feeling truly informed, not overwhelmed about these kinds of complex topics.
Absolutely. And the practical insights you gain from understanding how language is actually used in real-life settings, they're just invaluable.
Beyond the textbook.
Way beyond. This knowledge equips you with the skills you need to navigate casual conversations confidently, to understand pop culture references without missing the joke.
Right.
And, ultimately, to forge more meaningful connections with native speakers.
Yeah.
It's about being able to blend in more seamlessly with locals.
Feeling like you belong.
And truly discovering the authentic essence of the language, which is always far more vibrant and dynamic than any textbook could possibly capture.
Yeah.
So what does this all mean? It means recognizing that language learning isn't just this static thing accumulating rules and vocab.
It's ongoing.
It's an ongoing dynamic process. It's cultural immersion, it's adaptation. It's about living the language, really, not just studying it in a vacuum.
That makes sense.
And this understanding empowers you to decode those implicit messages, to grasp social dynamics better, and just participate more fully in the rich tapestry of English communication.
What an incredible journey we've been on today. Seriously. From the kind of formal structure of textbook English to the vibrant, constantly changing world of modern slang. We've unpacked terms like lit, salty, and ghosted, really digging into their surprising nuances, their cultural weight.
Yeah, the stories behind the words.
And then we explored these newer but equally vital expressions like delulu, bussin', and no cap, along with so many others, understanding how they reflect society right now.
It's a snapshot of the moment.
So our challenge to you, the listener, now is start incorporating these terms. Listen for them. Movies, songs, conversations around you.
Pay attention.
Don't be afraid to try them out yourself, in appropriate context. Consistent practice, active listening, they're absolutely key to sounding more fluent.
And feeling more confident.
And feeling more comfortable in real-world English and truly understanding the everyday conversations happening around you. This deep dive, hopefully, is a bit of a shortcut to being genuinely well-informed about contemporary English.
And as you embark on that journey, maybe listening more closely, trying things out, consider this final provocative thought for you to mull over. How is it that new slang words emerge, gain this massive popularity, and then sometimes, poof, they become obsolete so quickly?
Yeah, the life cycle of slang is fast.
Incredibly fast.
Yeah.
What does this rapid, almost ephemeral evolution of language tell us about our culture, our priorities maybe, our communication habits, our need for brevity, even our underlying values? Deep questions.
And looking forward, how might future technologies, things like AI, virtual realities, increasingly global digital interactions, how might they continue to reshape not just the words we use, but the very way we speak and connect with each other?
Wow.
This raises an important question, really not just about the vocabulary of today, but about the very future of language itself.
Fascinating questions to ponder as you continue your linguistic exploration. Thank you so much for joining us on this deep dive.
Yeah, thanks for tuning in.
Keep exploring, keep learning, and keep discovering the joy of language. We'll see you next time.